They tore the scholarship pin from my blazer while the whole academy watched. Someone laughed. Half-bloods don't belong here. Then Kyle Ver caught my scent, said,
Mine.
And a crimson flower began opening beneath his fingers. My name is Ivy Hale, Nightbloom's only half-blood scholarship student. Vampires owned one side of the hall, wolves the other, and I survived between them by keeping my eyes down and my grades perfect. At the center stood the founder's chair nobody touched. That day, they made me stand beside it. My mother had left me a cracked silver locket, an unexplained letter, and one rule. Never let them smell fear. For 2 years, invisibility worked. That morning, it lasted 11 minutes. Seraphine Vale found me first. The vampire heiress everyone whispered would marry the alpha heir one day. She is everything Nightbloom worships, old blood. She could humiliate you so softly that people leaned closer.
You smell like the human world,
She said, loud enough for the whole hall. And she reached out, 2 perfect fingers, and tore the scholarship pin off my chest like she was pulling a splinter out of something that didn't deserve to keep it. The pin struck stone. Ren, the other scholarship girl, bent to pick it up, but Seraphine trapped it beneath her heel. That's when the doors opened. Kyle Ver crossed the hall like the rest of them didn't exist. Students moved before he reached them. Nobody made Kyle ask twice. They say he hasn't smiled since his father named him Heir. They say the cold in him is a kind of weather. Seraphine reached for his arm, certain, the way you reach for something you already own.
Kale, tell her. Tell her she doesn't belong at Nightbloom.
He looked at me to say it. He opened his mouth to agree. And then he went completely still. I watched the cruelty drain out of his face and something I had no name for take its place. He breathed in once, slow, like the air itself had changed.
Say it again.
He said low, only to me.
Call yourself nothing.
So I did. Nothing. And his voice broke on a single word.
Mine.
Fated mate, one person your blood chooses and never releases. Nightbloom called it sacred. For a half-blood claimed by the wolf heir, it was a death sentence. Behind him, Seraphine went white.
She's a stray, Kyle. Hand her to the houses and be done.
Kyle didn't look at her. He kept looking at me, even with Seraphine waiting beside him.
Everyone out.
The hall emptied in seconds. Even her. 200 students who had spent 2 years pretending I was furniture, gone because the cold prince of the wolves told them to leave. Then it was just me, my back against the cold stone, and an alpha who looked at me like a door he'd been clawing at his whole life.
What are you?
He said, and the accusation in his voice made me flinch. I'm nobody, I told him. You all made sure of that.
No.
He stepped closer. The torches leaned toward us.
Your blood is screaming at mine? Nobody doesn't do that.
He pressed 2 fingers to the inside of my wrist, right over my pulse. Maybe he wanted proof, or thought touching me could undo whatever the bond had done to him. And under his hand, my skin started to glow. Light spread beneath my skin as a crimson and silver night-blooming flower opened across my wrist, 1 petal at a time. Kyle let go like I'd burned him.
That's the founder's mark.
He whispered.
That bloodline died 300 years ago.
Behind us, slow and cold, someone began to clap. Headmistress Morn stepped out of the dark at the end of the hall. She wasn't looking at Call. She was looking at my wrist, the way you look at something you have waited your whole long life to see light up again.
Miss Hale,
She said, smiling with too many teeth.
welcome home. The houses have been looking for you for a very, very long time.
And every door in Nightbloom Academy locked at the same moment. They didn't send me back to my room. They sent me down, beneath the chapel, to the founder's study, where the heads of both houses were already waiting. Lord Ashcroft of the vampire houses, pale and patient as something kept in ice. Alpha Greymark of the packs, grey and broad, and made of old violence. 2 men who hadn't agreed on a single thing in 100 years. That night, for the first time in a century, they agreed that I belonged to neither of them yet. The Nightbloom line is supposed to be extinct, Ashcroft said. He turned a heavy ring on his finger and watched my wrist instead of my face. But the founders built this academy on that blood. Whoever carries that mark can open the Founder's vault and bind every house at Nightbloom to her will. I didn't understand half of what he said. I understood the half that mattered. Neither of them had any plan to let me walk out of that room as my own person. Seraphine slipped in beside Ashcroft like she had always belonged there, like she'd already chosen which side of this would make her a queen.
If the stray won't choose a house,
She said sweetly.
choose one for her.
The blood moon rises in 3 nights.
Morn said softly from the shadows.
By then, the girl will be claimed by one house,
She let the silence stretch.
or divided between them.
Divided. She said it the way you say a word you have practiced in the mirror. And across the room, Kyle's jaw went tight enough to crack. He hadn't said a word since the Great Hole, but his hands had curled into fists and he was staring at the floor like it was the only thing keeping him from doing something that started a war. I was a half-blood nobody this morning. By midnight, I was the most dangerous girl in the school, and every powerful person in that room wanted to own the danger before it learned what it could do. They gave me back my room. They also gave me a guard outside the door and a lock I couldn't open from the inside. I sat on the floor with my mother's locket in my hand and finally understood the letter she never explained. She hadn't sent me here to learn. She had sent me here to hide. I found a sealed passage behind my wardrobe and followed it to the abandoned infirmary. Kyle was already there, waiting in the only room my guards never checked. You shouldn't be here, I told him. Your pack will smell me on you.
I know.
He said. He didn't leave.
I can't stop wanting to be.
He told me the truth then, the one nobody else in that school would. If he claimed me, the way the bond was screaming at him too, his pack went to war with every vampire house at Nightbloom. And if he didn't, they would take me at the blood moon, and I would never walk out of that vault alive. So those are my choices, I said. Be your weapon, or be theirs.
No.
His hand came up, slow, and stopped a breath from my face. Close enough that I could feel the warmth of it, not touching.
Your choice. I just need you alive long enough to make it.
The bond wanted me closer. I wanted it too, which scared me more than the guards outside. Nightbloom had spent years teaching me that I was disposable. Kyle looked at me like I mattered. That made him dangerous in a way claws never could. I stepped back. If the houses expected me to confuse being chosen with being free, they were going to be disappointed. Then help me, I said. Don't claim me. Help me open that vault before they open me. For a long moment, he just looked at me. The cold prince of the wolves who had never in his life been told no by someone he could have crushed with one hand. And then, very quietly, he smiled. It was small and unexpected, and it changed his whole face.
All right, Ivy Hale.
He said,
Let's go rob the Founders.
We had a plan by dawn. The Founder's vault under the chapel. My blood. My mark. A way to open it on my terms and bind the houses to me instead of letting them bind me to the blood moon. But the vault was inside the Founder's wing, and the Founder's wing was sealed. We needed a key, and I trusted exactly one person at Nightbloom enough to ask. Wren, the girl who had bent to pick my pin off the floor, who saved me a seat when nobody else would, who warned me which corridors to avoid after dark. She found me the key. She pressed it into my hand in the stairwell that night, and she wouldn't look at me, and I was too desperate to ask why. She also brought Seraphine, 3 house guards, and headmistress Morn.
I'm sorry.
Wren whispered, backing away as the torches flared around us.
They promised me a house, Ivy. A real one. And you were never going to survive this anyway.
Morn lifted my glowing wrist into the torchlight like a prize the whole room had paid for.
300 years.
She said,
We kept this school waiting for you, Miss Hale. 300 years of pure blood, breeding and waiting for the Founder's heir to walk back through our doors. And tonight,
she said.
the Founders finally get their heir back.
Behind her, the sealed vault door began to glow, answering the light in my skin, like it knew me, like it had been waiting too. Then Kyle stepped in front of me, facing Morn, the vampire guards, and his own pack. A growl rolled through his chest. When he looked back, I knew he was giving me one chance to run. Instead, I stepped beside him, I'd spent 2 years making myself small enough to survive Nightbloom. I was done. Open the door, I told Morn. The mark flared across my wrist, and the Volt answered from the other side. Kyle had chosen me over his blood. Now Nightbloom would learn what I chose. I'm Ivy Hale. They called me a half-blood nobody. The blood moon rises in 3 nights, and every house and pack plans to claim me before it does. To keep my choice, I need whatever is behind that door. I just don't know whether Kyle is protecting me or protecting what my blood can give him. This is how Nightbloom Academy learned my name. Chapter 1. Would you trust Kyle or open the vault alone? Tell me below. Chapter 2 begins on the other side of that door. Subscribe before the blood moon rises.